they were serving breakfast. I got me some toast, I got me some orange juice. I went to my room and I tried to get in the room. I couldn't get in. I went downstairs and I said, something's wrong with my key. And they said, nothing's wrong with your key. I said, let me in, something's wrong with my key. And I got irate until I looked on the wall and it said the Hilton. I had run into the wrong hotel. Here I am, I done stole the man's toast and I stole the man's orange juice. But I could not see that the problem was not him, but the problem was me. I had a hidden sin that I could not see. And what prompted me to write my article was because the governor of this state asked Christians to pray for blacks in West Louisville and to come down to West Louisville to pray. But the problem is not West Louisville. The problem is what has been done to West Louisville by the surrounding community. But he can't see that because he's guilty of having a hidden sin. The reason why black people are down is because the total maldistribution of wealth. The rap. What is racism? Racism is a rap. Racism is a rap. Racism is wealth being concentrated in one group. Black people constitute 14% of the population, but we only have 2.6% of the wealth. And that's because of wealth inequality that has rooted in the past. Rap has to do with relationships. We don't have the same connections that other people have, therefore our community is poor. Acreage. We only possess 1% of the acreage in America. P, power. We don't set the agenda. And because of that, black people are down. But it's never fixed because white America has been guilty of having some hidden sins and not recognizing that it's not black people that's the problem, but it is the system. As Louis Farrakhan said, a white man's heaven is a black man's hell. The fact of the matter is, my brothers and sisters, we've got different groups trying to lift up the black community. We've got the NAACP, we have the Urban League, we have black churches. And until we can come together and turn to each other and not on each other, we'll be able to lift what's going on in our community and West Louisville. I close. I once heard about a trapper who used to trap birds. He dropped a net on a group of birds, and the birds were underneath the net. The birds started complaining to each other, and they started fighting each other and saying the reason we are under the net is because you put us under the net. If you had not done one thing, we would not be under the net. But one wise bird, I think it was the executive director of the Urban League, who said, you know what? We are all under the same net. We all have the same enemy. But I'll tell you what we can do. If we work together, we can lift ourselves from under this net. And so what we have to do is we have to flap our wings. And all the birds underneath the net started flapping their wings. And when they flapped their wings, together they were able to lift themselves from the net as the net went up in the air and they flew underneath the net. We have to deal with America's hidden sins. And until we deal with that, we will not be able to fix West Louisville. I went looking for Jesus on a West End street. I thought he would be wearing a white robe because he was walking with shuffling feet. But then I went looking for Jesus way in the sky, thinking that he'd be wearing a robe that would dazzle my eye. But suddenly Jesus came walking by with stumbling feet because he'd been hanging out with the folk on a West End street. Peace.